Hello, everybody, and welcome to a very special 80s design themed live stream here on Adobe Behance. How is everyone doing? I hope you're well. Tony, you crack me up. I have been laughing so much in the green room at our costumes. When Tony and I heard it was an 80s design theme, we came prepared. We committed.
We did.
Didn't we?
We did.
You've got so much going on there, Tony, because you've got the music, you've got the...
I have.
I love it, and I'm loving these as well. So
It's so good. However, mine's going to disappear in a minute because I am boiling. Plus, also, sunglasses, not great for doing the design work.
yeah, sunglasses indoors is
Elvis agrees.
And Elvis is here for the stream. Yes, he's a big fan of the 80s. Oh my God. But of course, this is going to be fun, not only because we're going to have lots of colour in anything we're designing today. So this is right up my street. But also, everybody, get involved. If you want to, contribute to the design poster that we'll be creating today, let us know in the chat. I'll get any of your questions asked for Tony. And Tony, we've got a lot of the crew already here today. Let's say a few hellos. I can see Kirsty was first in this morning. So hey, Kirsty. Linda's here as well. Emma's here. Oliver and Karina as well. Selena, Daryl. Yes, we've got a good crew on board with us today into the 80s.
I've been told I can watch this on demand later. Is that true?
You can watch on YouTube later.
Well, Tim gave me this. He said you can watch it on demand later. Where does this go? I haven't got a drive.
You know what? I wonder who still has video players. People probably still
haven't.
No, I've got one somewhere. Oh my gosh. But yes, we're really embracing the 80s design theme today. I think these earrings have got to be here to stay. Check out these.
They're so amazing.
So cool. So Tony, what are we doing
You look
today?
fantastic.
Thanks, darling. You do too. Oh, the wig is gone.
It's gone. Yeah. I was boiling underneath that thing. My head will be a whole red blotchy mess if I keep that on for a bit.
I got a good picture though before you took it off. I got a good picture. Amazing. Oh my God.
We are the naughtiest hosts on all of Adobe Live. Do you know that?
Do you know what? I think so, because every time we get together, there's always crying laughter.
Yeah.
Because something or other happens. I mean, I still watch clips back from you and I from game shows where I just cry. Like, it's just too funny, like the mischief.
Yes.
And so I'm prepared today, not only in 80s, like fancy dress, but waterproof mascara.
Oh, I know.
So, I'm here for it.
I used to wear mascara in the 80s.
It was acceptable in the 80s.
It's acceptable now.
It's acceptable now. I'm just joking. What are we doing? What are we doing today?
We're going to bring the 80s into a poster. We're going to do a poster for the Adobe Live game show, which will be you and I back in real 80s form, like, boom. I might even take my beard off so I'm clean shaven,
Ooh.
No,
okay, well, I'm only wearing half of the costume, all the 80s bits that I bought from Amazon to come today. I'm only wearing half of it. So I've still got more that I can just add to, So
me too. I was trying to find the mullet wig, but it is not in the wig box. I've got a mullet wig, but it wasn't in the wig box. I don't know where that's gone.
No. What's best about that sentence, Tony, is that you have a wig box.
I do have a wig box. I have several hat boxes, wig box, and of course are you old enough to remember Mr. Ben?
Not really.
Not really. No,
I know of Mr. Ben, but not from my childhood. I'm an 80s girl, but no.
Yeah, he was a character from the 70s, really. So quite a while before you were born. But he used to go into this costume shop, go into there to try on a costume. I mean, that guy must have gone out a lot because he was into that shop every week. And what would happen is he would put the costume on, he would walk out of the wardrobe, and he'd be transported to that era. So if he dressed as a cowboy, he would walk out into the Wild West. If he was dressed as a knight, he'd walk out into the Middle Ages. All of those weird things. So I believe somebody told me they're actually making a Mr. Ben movie. I don't know if that's true, but it would be so cool if they did.
Oh, Definitely. Let us
Anyway.
know when it comes out if it's something.
Yes. Anyway, I suppose we better crack on, hadn't we?
Well, yeah. I mean, everyone's loving the 80s theme in the chat. Sandrine is sharing. Sandrine used to wear lots of black with pointy leather black boots. See, I wear that now, Sandrine. Oliver says he's got a Mr. Ben on a shelf in his kitchen. And Noor is asking if it's Mr. Bean. No, I'm sure that Mr. Ben and Mr. Bean are very different.
Very different. I think they're related way back, but you know. But they are very, very different. Very different. Yes.
Amazing.
Yes. Mr. Ben had quite a lot to say about things. I've got a picture on my phone of me when I was a student teacher in the 80s. Good Lord.
I think you've shown me some photos where you've had Mohican.
I'll send yeah. This wasn't a Mohican. I've got a mullet in it. But anyway, moving on.
Wow.
So there are a few different ways we can go with this. I'm fancying quite now a bit of sort of geometric pattern based stuff, I think.
Yeah.
I'm looking to my side because I've got a whole pile of different references there. And in fact, I opened my History of Graphic Design volume 2 earlier today, which is a heavy, heavy, heavy book. Wow. Not in terms of reading. It weighs about 3 kilos. It's massive. And I looked through the 80s because it does it year by year. I looked from 1980 to 1989. And to be honest, none of the things I found in there were particularly things that people would associate with graphics from the 80s. But we're going to go with the things that people do, which was essentially album cover art, that kind of thing. Because that's generally what defines an era, I think, in Western society. Yeah,
when I think of 80s design, I think of, remember the movie 3 Men and a Little Baby?
Yes.
3 Men and a Little Baby. One of the guys was an artist and he painted on the walls, like a mural in their whole flat. Yeah. That to me, if I think of 80s kind of design, that is what I think of every time. That's where my mind goes. To those kind of squares and triangles and curves.
So I'm doing a skateboard exactly like that at the moment. I'll text you a picture later.
Ooh, yeah.
Anyway, right, let's get into Illustrator. Come on, because we've got all these lovely people thinking, I want to learn some stuff. Yeah. So I'm going to create a new file here in Illustrator. Now, am I going to go print poster size or digital poster? What do you think? Would it be wiser for me to do something square so we could actually create it for Instagram? Thinking about it. Yeah. Let's do that. So I'm going to mod this artboard just here, modify. I've got big strands of pink nylon hair hanging around. I'm a fire hazard. Oh dear. Right. So I'm going to change this artboard. Let's switch this out. So I'm going to go to my artboard options here and I am going to make the width and the height the same thing. I like 282.222. I'm going to go with that. So 282.222 because I like the number 2. There we go. Good. Right. So I guess we need to section this up in a few different ways. So I'm going to create a couple of guide layers here, or at least one anyway. I like doing it this way. It's just the way I work. I like sharing that here. I'm going to create a rectangle like so. So let's go ahead and pull that out like that to the sides of the artboard. I'm not seeing any smart guides, which worries me a little bit. Let's have a hover over here. Let me just undo that a second and make sure that smart guides are turned on because I want to see them. Oh, they are now. So I'd obviously accidentally turn those off. That's just so I know when I'm getting to the end of the artboard because here it's kind of important just there. Okay, once I've done that, I'll have a quick check around just to make sure I am on the edges of the artboard. There we go. Perfect. And I've got a square. That line's showing me I've got a square. Object and path and split into grid. I'm going to have 3 rows with no gutter. That's the space in between those, just in case you're wondering. And 3 columns. Yeah. Like so. There we are. I'm going to change that into some guides. Command 5, Control 5 would do that for me. Of course, view guides, make guides would also do that for me, just in case you can't, for whatever reason, do the shortcut thing. Now, I don't know how well you can see them because they're kind of faint just there. I could perhaps improve that just a little bit. Let's see if I can just get a bit more out of those guides for you. Let's just have a quick look. Oh, no, actually, I can't do anything to change the weight of those. Shame. Anyway, They're just for me. They give me an idea of the proportions that I've got inside of here. And then I'm going to start dividing this up. Now, sometimes I will use part of the grid like so. So as I've just done just there. Other times, because guides are just a guide, I might go ahead and drop things over to the other side. So I'm just going to go to this intersection and move that out like so to there. In fact, even if I do that separately, I'm giving the guides more of a chance. Here, there we go. And additionally, I'm just going to make one more change here to my preferences because I've had my guides set up for 15-degree angles. So I'm just going to change that to 90 and 45, which will make it easier for Illustrator to display things, as you're probably seeing right now. So there you are, chunking up these pieces like so. Need to find some colors for these as well. So if I start with something blue, like
nice. I'm loving the color.
I know your personality is colorful, so it's, you know. Let's go for high contrast, because it was high fidelity, high contrast, all of that stuff.
Sandrine's put in the chat in capital letters, so she's shouting, "Let Maddy free for the colors."
I should do, really. I should let you
that pink
choose.
needs to be brighter. That pink needs to be like this.
Oh, okay.
Bright neon.
For you, it will happen.
Okay.
There we go. In fact, if I choose one from here, that's like completely unprintable.
I know, but it's great.
True. And we are
Daryl
doing
says
digital,
Maddy Green,
I guess. You know, we are doing digital. Well, let's go with that then. I wonder if there's a swatch set for 80s.
That would be good.
It would be good. Sadly not. Where's pop art, which is as close as it gets, I think, from there. These things are always, people quite often struggle with choosing colors. There's all of these things in Illustrator. Pastels would be for the later 80s, I guess.
See, I didn't know that existed in Illustrator, because I don't know, I didn't think who it was that recommended me. There was like a color swatches book.
Yeah.
Because I go bright. That's not surprising every time.
Go bright or go home.
Exactly. That's it. And that's it. And so, but I never knew that there's actually like recommendations in Illustrator.
Yeah, no, there's tons.
So good.
Tons. And in fact, a few of these are very, very 80s like, I think. So there's quite a few in there. But yeah, there are so many different things in here. And bizarrely, some of them were done not long after the 80s. You know, I almost bought my Illustrator 88 box out, which I've got here, believe it or not. Yep, so we can try some of these things. I've got some reference over to the side, which is on paper, unfortunately, so I'm not going to be bringing that up onto here. But let's go ahead and make some stuff. So one of the other things from the 80s, okay, so the computer graphics were just starting to really emerge. There were bold lines. So let's create a style for something here. You can see, by the way, how that grid is helping me in positioning this stuff. You see, I think that's kind of very 80s. That's quite bold.
That is very top of the pops.
Top of the pops.
Isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Very top.
Very top of the pops. It's also worth bearing in mind that, you know, we might want to animate this for some future thing. So it's worth keeping an eye on things like that. Actually, can these things be animated well? I'm going to create a style for that. So I've got my graphic styles just here. I'm going to clear out everything that's not being used just at the moment. I like doing that. The default styles being in there. And then let's add this. So I'm going to option click that icon, and we're just going to call this 80s. There, like so. Okay, so we've got that style. We can apply it to anything else we want to work with. I'm going to go ahead with this yellow shape, which actually, do you know what? I'm going to bring that out to the whole artboard just for a minute. Okay, and send it to the back so we can see it through everything else here just at the moment. I think that might be useful. And then I'm going to add another fill to it. So I'm going to go ahead and click here to add a new fill. And for that one, I'm going to choose pattern. So we'll go to patterns, basic graphics and lines. Let's have a look at that first. A lot of these things remain unchanged from the 80s. They're still, you know, they're still there. And I'm not sure if lines is going to work that well. Oh, mind you, it's quite cool. So you've got all of this stuff in here that you can use. That, a grid. A grid is going to work well. I'm going to change the background color, however. So if I go back to the appearance here for this, I'm going to go to that color here. And I'm going to go to my color guide. And I'm going to make that much, much lighter. Good. That works pretty well. Groovy. Which, of course, is the 70s.
Sandrine says Memphis style.
Memphis style. Indeed, yes. I think I'm going to need another one of these. So I'll just bring one of those across like so. And with that selected on its own, I could always go ahead and just use the alignment controls here to make sure it is aligned. So I'm going to use my basic 80s style there to begin with. See? Easy. With a click.
Nice.
Done with a click. However, I'd forgotten about the stroke, so I'm going to get rid of that. Let's do that. And now let's add another fill to this one. So I'm using a keyboard shortcut to do that this time. So Command/ or Control/ will add me a new fill just there. I'm going to go back to those patterns because I happen to know that in here, okay, we've got all of these different things that we can use. And if I go for basic graphics textures, I think there's stuff there we can use straight away. I'm going to change the thumbnail size here to large thumbnail so we can see them. Now, unfortunately, that's as big as they go. We can't do a lot about that. But there are some in here like hatching. If I choose hatching dense, that kind of works as 80s. This kind of works as 80s. That's hatching double. Let's have a peek through some of these. I'm just going to add them and then undo. Just so we can see what's in there. There we go. That's kind of nice. That crosses, that's a bit 80s. We'll keep that one. That hatching, no, for those two. There's a bird feet one, I think, somewhere that looks pretty good. Let's try Mezzotint. Nope. Random V's. See, it's all in there. I take it Elvis is having a bit of a barky bark, is he?
Honestly, this dog, he's barking. I think it's because I'm in here and I've got like all of these beads and things on, and he's literally like, what's going on? So yeah, he's having a bit of a bark, so if you can hear him. Apologies, everybody. Craziness.
It just happens.
I know.
It's all good.
Sandrine plus Weird Science. Now that was a great movie. Although you put this series. Was there a Weird Science series?
Was there?
I never knew. I only knew there was a movie.
Wow.
Very cool. Saved by the Bell, Frank put in the chat. Yes, I used to love Saved by the Bell.
Oh my word.
Yeah.
Right, I'm going to scale this particular style up a bit because it's too small at the moment, and this will be more fun once it's been changed. I'm going to turn off transform objects, so it's not going to transform the object. I am going to have it transform patterns, okay, and then I'm just going to go ahead and increase the scale up here. So I'll do it across in the X direction first. So I'm going to keep going. Even though I reach the end of the slider, you can just carry on.
Cool.
Up there like so. And let's make that the same value there, 630, 630. There we go. Some nice stuff in there. Let's make something in another one. Let's add a pattern to this one as well. So add a new fill.
That's cool.
To this. Good stuff, right?
That's good. Sandrine mentions probably one of the best things to come out of the 80s, the music. Like 80s power ballads. This is, like, I don't mind being stuck in a long car journey with 80s power ballads.
Really?
On the old radio. Yeah.
I was listening to some this morning to get into the zone.
Oh, were you?
I was totally, absolutely, yes, definitely. Yeah, good stuff. And I think Tim's pops us something on in the background, hasn't he?
Yes.
So good. Tim is a genius. I was after, there is a stipple pattern and I just need to find it because otherwise it's going to really do my Swede, as they say. I'm going to go back to patterns and basic graphics. Let me just try.
No, in the 80s, they loved good pattern, right? They loved all the squiggles and all of the little things in the background. But don't you think if we're going to put a lot of copy on this poster, on this, this graphic, that it might be a little distracting from the background? Like, how are we going to?
Oh, we're going to overlay it in. The text is going to have a background to it. We're going to put a background on the text.
Ah. Cool.
So that's how we're going to do it, and then we're going to overlay it Dymo style. Do you know a Dymo was a machine, little handheld machine. They do digital ones these days that you can run tapes out of, but they used to have this wheel where you could turn things around, had the alphabet on it and numbers and so on, and then you press it and it would stamp it into a piece of plastic, and then you'd wind it around. It's a crazy thing. Crazy thing. Yes. I am going to, by the way, scale this one up as well. Now, what I did before, I used the shortcut, which was a bit naughty, and I just used apply transform. So I'm just going to do that again like so. Now you can see, boof, big dots. Big dots. I like it. Yes. Good. Now we can get some more shapes in it. Got to have a triangle. So I'm going to go for my polygon tool. And I'm going to start drawing a triangle like so. So hexagon to start off with, down arrow 1, 2, 3 times, triangle. Just in case you've already drawn something, if you're watching on demand later on, just before you rewind the whole tape thing, there's a way you can do that afterwards, right? And if you look for this small widget that you can see just here, there's a small widget. You can add and remove sides like so. So there you go. So you've got a way to work with it. It's using my 80s style just here, but of course totally wrong color. That's not going to work there very well at all. Did I just rob the background off of that? I think I did, didn't I? I'll have to add one in a moment. So go ahead and do that. There you are, Mads. How's that? Is
it going to be pink again though? Because we're missing the pink.
Yeah, I'm going to put the pink back.
Orange.
Lime green is a yes. Absolutely. In fact, let's make that one. Let's go with that. The great thing is here, of course, you can do whatever you want. It's Illustrator. I've just doubled up on patterns. There we are. Yes. See, ferocious.
See, this is now looking like if anyone joined the stream right now and couldn't guess what we're doing based on how I'm dressed now and what we're doing, this is screaming 80s.
It is.
So our 80s poster is coming along quite well.
Yes. I'm going to create another ellipse just off artboard here, just for the moment. I'm actually going to take that fill away. And I did that, by the way, because my fill's in front. So I just hit the slash key on my keyboard to get rid of that. I'm actually going to pump up the volume. Was that 80s or 90s?
I think that was 90s.
I think it was 90s too. So I'm just trying to get a particular weight here. I think something like that is in keeping with these shapes. Very good. And then I'm going to outline that stroke. I happen to have created a shortcut for me to be able to do that really, really quickly. Okay, but there you are. The other thing I could do, just hold on a second, is I can also split this like so.
Very 80s.
Very Pac-Man all of a sudden.
Yes.
What.
That was pretty cool.
The only problem with this actually at the moment is because now I've done that, I'd actually have to manually split the paths to get what I want. I just want part of a circle in here. So something like that is where I was going with it. And then I'm going to outline that. I'll use the menu system this time because not everybody can use shortcuts. Groovy. There we are. And we'll go ahead and apply my 80s style to that, but override the color because I think that should be blue. That blue?
Yeah, it's pretty bright.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Or that blue?
Oh no, the bright one.
The bright one.
Come on.
Wait a minute. I spoke too soon about the sunglasses. I think it's time to pop those. I need my welding goggles.
Welding. Oh,
There we go. I think that's working pretty well.
really cool.
I don't want to change the stroke size, so I'm just going to undo that. Go to my transform here.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, of course you can. Always.
So, based on my 80s earrings and the fact that when I Google 80s, I see lots of lightning kind of shapes, how would you draw lightning in Illustrator?
Triangles, or just overlay triangles. We can do that in a minute. Yeah, I'm going to put some zigzags in just a second. We could do that. But yeah, triangles. You could scale. Do you want to do one now? Should we try and do one?
Go on.
Let's try and do one. So let's get something like that.
Yeah.
I'm just going to rotate that around a bit though, to somewhere there, and also change the proportions of it because it's not really a triangle that I would turn into lightning. In fact, so I'm just going to mash the whole thing up. There we are.
Cool.
So I'm going to get a right angled triangle like so. Let's just align those to the top. Right. Here's how you could do that. So if I get this selected, I'm doing it in big, so it's nice and easy to see.
Yeah.
Okay. I would get the scale tool. So I need to change the color. You're not going to be able to see that properly from there. There we go. If I tap S for the scale tool, can you see this point just here, this registration point, just off to the right-hand side? So whenever you select anything in Illustrator and you select one of the transformation tools, by default, it goes from the mathematical center of an object. If it's like this and it's thinking, well, actually the mathematical center, that would be a rectangle. Well, I'm going to change that. I'm going to go down to this anchor point at the bottom here. Okay. I'm then going to option click on that, which does two things. It sets the transformation point down to the bottom there and opens this dialog. So it's going to scale from that point. Okay. So I could go ahead and scale this non-uniformly if I wanted to. Let's make it larger like so. And actually I'll change it horizontally just a bit there. Okay, that's good. And then create a copy. See? And you get something like that. And then you just carry on. You just basically do that and join them together.
Very cool.
And you get quick lightning.
Nice.
That's how it works.
Thanks for sharing.
Yeah, you're welcome. That's almost worth keeping, actually. Actually, do you know what? That was all the thing. It's coming back to me now. That was all the thing. Let's go ahead and do that, but change the color. I should have just left my 80s style at stroke only, but do you know what? And I'll go back with that color. Let's have that popping in.
Yes.
Around about here. Now the guides are helping me. There we go. Something like that I think is good. That works pretty well.
Cool. Yeah.
Another thing we need, another common design element that we need, zigzags. Got to have some zigzags in there.
Of course.
Here's how we're going to do those. I'm going to create a simple line like so. I'm going to increase the weight of that line, however, somewhat like so. I'm also going to change the end caps on the line. And let's go ahead and change the color. Let's go with that electric blue from there. Then I'm going to go to the effects, and which I can do from the menu at the top of the screen or over here on this icon. Distort and transform, zigzag. See, there's a menu item for it.
That's easy.
Amazing. Interestingly, though, it's not giving me any zigzag feedback. Let me just make sure that that is completely selected. It's not. It's just a single anchor point selected there. We'll try that again. Distort and transform, zigzag, because we should get zigzag straight away. Okay, what's happening just there then?
Oh, no.
I'm going to try a different approach to that. Let's try that. There we go. Weird.
It looks selected now. It didn't look like that before.
Yeah, it didn't, and now it does. So we're good. So I'm going to go to Effect, and I'm going to come down to Distort and Transform and Zigzag. Even it's still not zigzagging.
Do you have to move the size now?
Yeah, I could. It should be zigzagging right now. I'm just going to see what happens if I hit OK. Okay, something's wrong. I did get a plugin warning actually from Illustrator when I was launching it, and it did tell me that something was wrong, and I just thought, oh, it's one of my extra plugins. But not to worry, there's more than one way to do that. We're going to use the pen tool. I'm just going to go with the pen tool and just go like that, and we can use the smart guide to see when we're aligned, like so. There we go. There's a way to do it. But the zigzag effect is a very useful way to create zigzags, I think.
This is cool, though.
Here we go. So we've got that. Let's bring that around. Woohoo. Like that. I think something like that. Sort of echoing the lightning.
Love
Too
it.
big.
And hey, everybody, if you've just joined the live stream, we're about halfway through now. Tony is designing an 80s poster for our next game show that we do here on Adobe Live. So if you have any recommendations of what should be in our 80s poster, join us on Behance, pop it in the chat. And if you have any questions, I'll read them out as well. So if you're watching YouTube, come over to Behance and let us know. But this looks cool with the zigzags.
Yes, I think the zigzags help. I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's as cool as Tim and Karina might say. That's cool.
And Sanjun mentioned, by the way, that when you were trying to do the rectangular effect, Sanjun said that she was under the impression that it was working with a shape, let's say a rectangle, and if you outline the path of the shape, that it would then turn into a rectangle. Is that right?
Outline.
We had a line. We just had a line.
Oh, with the line? No. It's meant to work with that. It is absolutely meant to work with that. That's how it's meant to go. Yeah, it's meant to work with lines. In fact, it's one of the things commonly used on lines to create a whole bunch of different things. But there is some things not initialized properly, as the engineers will say. This hasn't initialized properly. Oh. Right then, type-tastic.
Yes. I do feel we're missing orange.
Ooh, we do. Do you know what? We can add some orange in.
And I've got just the perfect orange right here.
I've got the perfect orange. Let's go ahead then and unlock that layer. Ooh, which thing's going to be orange? I think it should be this shape here.
Yeah. Noor says, I totally see Garfield popping in from that yellow circle. He's
Garfield.
So 80s. I remember Garfield.
Yeah, Garfield.
Wow.
Garfield and John.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it? 80s.
Yes.
Love it.
Now, bizarrely, I happen to have a whole bunch of 80s font, or I should have a whole bunch of 80s fonts on here. True Lies, that's 80s. Viper Squadron is very 80s. Viper Squadron Bold is very 80s. Da-da-da.
Very 80s. Daryl asks me in the chat, what was my favorite 80s item? I still think it's a power ballad. Like, nothing can get me. It's classic 80s. Like, you know, I'm your lady. I won't put you all through me. And it's the reach of the crowd.
You can if you want. Every time you move your arms, I get an earful of beads.
My mic's down here. And sorry about that. Oh, dear.
So good. Right. Okay. So what I'm going to do is, I used to like power ballads back in the 80s. Yes, I'm going to remove the fill of this type at the moment. So all I've done there is I've hit slash on my keyboard. The type is still there, but it doesn't have any visible appearance. I'm then going to add 2 new fills to it. Now, you don't have to do this step, but trust me, based on experience, yeah, it's a good thing to do. Yeah, because you can get hairlines and all sorts of things. I don't know why. Well, I do know why, but I don't know how to explain it. So I've just added 2 new fills just there. The top one here, I am going to make super, super pink. The bottom one, I'm going to target and I'm going to change its nature. I'm going to go to the effects tab just here, convert to shape rectangle. And so it draws a rectangle around the type. I'm going to leave it relative and you'll see why in just a moment. But now I can change how this looks. So I'm going to change the extra width that's added to it to something like 8 millimeters, and the extra height, I'm going to bring that down to something like 4 millimeters, like so. I still think that could be a bit more 80s than it currently is. By the way, when it's going green like that, it's just because I've got it selected. That's or my cursor's over the top of it. That's all that's happening
like
there.
Cool gift.
Do you know what I think? Let's go gradient.
Yeah.
Let's go gradient.
Very cool.
Of course, the 80s made complex gradients possible, so that's why they were such a big thing. That's where computers calculating such things became so cool. There we go.
Not asks a neon. Neon's from the 80s. I think that's where the neon started, right? The 80s. I don't think it was a 70s thing.
It was a really difficult thing to reproduce before. That was like an airbrush task before doing that stuff. Oh, man, I would dread something like that coming through the door. It's like, oh, can you make this look neon? Oh, yeah. And it would be, typically, I would get things like photographic prints that I'd have to work with. I did one for Xerox once like that, and they provided me with 3 prints. These prints were 50 quid each. That doesn't sound like a lot of money, but in the 80s, that was a lot of money, 50 quid each. So you had 2, you could afford to, one you worked on just to try out to make sure that you could get the technique right and that it was going to work. The second one was like a test one. Yeah. And then the third one was the real deal. Yeah. And you had to do it and you had to get it right. If you got it wrong, toodles. That was all I could say. Excuse me 1 second. Wow. I have to mute because I'm going to cough. Ha.
Oh, bless him. No worries.
That's because I'm hearing myself laugh.
Oh.
At my own joke. That's dreadful. Let's change the angle of this. Do you think gradient?
Yeah, it's working. It looks good. Yeah.
Do you think we need some purple in it? Do you think we need purple at the other end?
We've only got a little bit of purple so far.
We haven't got much purple
get a little
at
bit
all.
more purple in there.
See, I think that's working better. There you go. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I think that works.
Very cool.
How are you with the type? Is the type okay?
Yeah, it's all right. I mean, I couldn't put my finger on an 80s font. Like, I think 70s is quite easy. Ooh. 60s is easy, but 80s, I wouldn't know really the best one to choose. If anyone's got any recommendations, pop them in the chat. Let us know. But I think this looks good though, Tony.
It does look good. Right. So here's a limitation of what I've done.
Okay.
Let me show you. I'm going to just create another copy of this. Okay. And then I'm going to type the word game show. I don't keep going into isolation mode. I don't mean to. And you can see that effect goes with it. So it creates a bigger rectangle for it. Ah. The limitation, however, is if I decide to put a jaunty bit of rotation on here. Yeah. So if I select that, go to the outside here and rotate, it still keeps drawing the effect as a rectangle with the extra space. So there are a couple of different ways around it, but the easiest way around it is to actually apply an effect to the whole thing. So if I just go ahead and show you here, I've turned that into a group, which I should be able to manipulate separately. Yeah, so I should be able to go in there and add an effect like distort and transform, which is where rotation lives in there. There you go. And then I can add that like that. And I'm not happy with that font, it's too techno for...
Well, Sandrina's recommended one called Neo Noir.
Neo Noir. Is that an Adobe font?
Yep.
Let's do it. Let's go ahead and find something from there. I just want to change it, first of all, to something like True Lies, just for a minute, because it really is offending my eyes. Something terrible. It is, though. I'm just like, I can't get around it.
Flashbacks from that stream you and I did where... Oh, so funny.
There's my own one there, Microfusion, that I did when I was on with Natalie.
Oh, cool.
So there's my own thing in there. Neo noir.
Yeah.
Is that what she said?
Uh-huh.
Right. Bear with just a second, because I need to make sure, first of all, I'm in the right browser to bring that up. And once I've got that, I'm going to come down onto this screen like so. Don't quite know why that's taking a bazillion years to load. There we go. Neo noir.
Yeah.
Hello. There we are. Dun, dun, dun. No.
No.
It's showing me nothing. Spell it out for me again, just in case it's spelled a different way.
No, you spelled it the same way that that Sandrine put it in the chat.
Let's have a quick look. We'll just go for
look for neon, yeah, or oh, there it is. Look, it's together, one word. It was in that list.
Was it?
Neo noir.
Neo noir.
Yes. Jackie's just joined us. Hey, Jackie. Great to see you.
Hey, Jackie. Love you, dolphin.
Yeah, really good dolphin. I love that.
Well, you
Even
would.
if I still have the fear of
Dolphins are like your thing. Yeah, that's cool. I like that.
Very cool.
I like it. I'm going to activate that in actually both, just in case I need it. Nice. If anybody else has got suggestions for fonts and whatnot, then go ahead and
yeah. Well,
give them
Dan
to
the man
us.
put, there's the computer font. I know exactly the one you mean, Dan. And Dan also puts that a bold sans serif type with chrome effects.
Yeah, we could do that. I mean, the only thing is for this particular one, yeah, that works really, really well for things where you're doing like the background I've got here, where you've got that sort of Delaunay triangulation business going on the side. That's what that's called, that stuff just there. When you've got that, it works really, really well for that. And I've done live streams before where I've put those things in, but for this one, it needs to be slightly different. Right. So I think, in my opinion, but it's a good thing to say. So cool. Let's try that one. Ooh, yes. Sandrine, I'm willing to bet, Sandrine Basquare, saying your name incorrectly. I'm so sorry. I'm willing to bet, right, that you can remember the font Mistral. I'm wondering if there's any glimmer of recognition from Sandrine just there.
Or she put that's all good. I don't know what font this is. Oh yeah, Jackie says I can.
I used to love that font.
And then Sandrine has put again capital letters, so she's shouting this at you. No, not Mistral. What's wrong with Mistral? You've got to share.
Oh man, it's the brush script of the 1980s. Let's leave it at that.
Oh, right.
Oh dear.
Yeah, Tim put, well, that font wasn't made for all caps.
Not really.
No.
Let's try upper and lowering it. I'm clicking out of that. I should have just single clicked on there. What I could do is do change case and make it title case or sentence case. That would work. There we go.
Ooh, that's much better.
I'm going to do that there. Yeah. I went all caps for the other one, so that was a good shout, Tim say, as we'd expect from you.
Very good. Also, by the way, can we just give a round of applause to Tim for designing our 80s. I don't know if you all noticed when you when you joined the stream today, the music, the 80s theme kind of in the box and the screen around us with the neon lights and the lines. Tim's done all of that. So round of applause, Tim.
Yes.
So good you are. So good.
I'm less enamored by that gradient in this particular piece. I think the gradient not good. So I'm taking it away. Taking it away.
Just yes.
So we need to come up with a date for it. Also, do we have any other font recommendations for this? I think we should have another one in here, or else it's going to get a bit samey.
Any other font recommendations?
I've got one.
Oh,
I've got one. Let's see. I need that window back. from there, let me just go ahead. So I have to reach up onto another screen. I then have to go back to there to bring it back. There we go. And then I have to reach onto another screen to bring you back, Mads. I can't be not looking at you for
Well, Kirsty says, what about a bold font?
I'm actually going in that sort of direction. So this kind of thing was also Broadway itself, not so much.
Art Deco?
Yeah. Art Nouveau. And Art Deco, yeah. Those things were around. So there was, I'm trying to remember the name. And funny enough, I saw it just the other day because I bought the type dating game, which is a card game with fonts on it. And it's an engaging way to do font pairing by getting fonts to date each other. It tells you about their different qualities and do you think these two would be a good match? And it's very cute.
No way.
Yeah, and it's in a proper 80s box as well. It's really epic.
Cool.
But I'm just having a look to see if I've got any similar recommendations. See, that's much more it, right? Broadacre, as it's referred to here, Broadacre Thin.
Yeah.
I like that. So I'm going to activate that.
Can't you search 80s within the fonts? Like, would it come up with
Yeah.
selection? I think Sandrine recommended.
I don't know if it's got like a relative search in it, in that you can suggest a theme. I was just taking let me go back there just a second. I just want to make sure that this one can be used on here, because sometimes you get ones that will only be as part of a kit, so they can only be used online. But we'll find out now if this works. So we'll go back to Illustrator and Broadacre. Broadacre Thin. There we go.
In the chat.
Sorry.
Nora's singing the final countdown.
That was the 90s.
Even typed up. Do-do-do-do. Very good.
Oh dear. We don't know the exact date
of
this yet. So what we can do is we can use the portable month of Tonevember. Because Tonevember has 60 days. Yeah. And it can be used anywhere in the year. Yeah. So I think we'll make this because I've already got a party going on the 32nd of Tonevember, which I put on my Instagram on Saturday. So I'll need a couple of days to get over that one. So let's make it the 34th of Tonevember. There we go. Yes, that will work. 34th of Tonevember. Good plan. Now, do we want that black background for this, or is it getting a bit samey? I think bit samey. Yeah. So I'm going to switch that out. And so I've had to go into it because I've grouped it to work with. And you can see if I go to my appearance panel, I'm now inside of the group just here. I'm actually going to make the type white. Let's try something. We need enough contrast. That's going to be too much, isn't it? Or purple.
Orange?
Or orange.
Not with the white.
Not with the white. Well, okay. We don't have to stick with the white. We could go straightforward black on top. It's getting a bit crazy there in terms of the... we can make it... That's hideous.
Oh, God. Even that's right for me.
Tony's spinning out. We could try. We've not got enough lime green in there. Oh.
Yes.
Let's go.
Yeah, that's good.
That's working, I think.
Yes.
So we can resize this a bit. There, like so. So I'm just using the spacing within that grid. It's unnerving, isn't it, when it goes green while I've got my cursor over top of it? It's just like, what's Tony written in this? What's Tony written in this rectangle? Surprise! It's the 34th of Tonevember.
So this is going to be an 80s game show.
Yes.
And normally we have questions on Photoshop. We had flags last time.
We did.
I did not do
that
well.
was great, though.
I was not good.
I enjoyed
flags.
Well, I was worse than I actually thought.
European flags. I was like, no.
Much worse.
Oh,
so we ought to put the time in. That's kind of important. I'm getting a bit of a flashback here to the stream I did with lovely Liz Mosley on Friday. I don't know if have you met Liz yet?
No.
She's our new Adobe Express host.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
I've not met her. Need to, though. We definitely need to have a stream together.
Yes.
Oh, Kirsty wants to know, when's Photoshop Ping Pong coming back? That was funny. That was good. That was.
Hang on,
really
I'm just going to check the Oracle.
Yes, Tim.
Hang on, it's coming through. Never.
Yeah, Oliver's made a good point. You could have done this in Adobe Express, Tony.
Yes.
We could have.
I'm going to tell you what I'm going to change here is I don't want another rectangle on there. I'm going to go into that group, double clicking to go into the group, going to go to that fill, the one what has the rectangle on it. I'm going to click on rectangle and say, no, actually be an ellipse.
Ooh, I like it. Mix it up.
And also that's too regular. So let's go ahead and distort and transform the ellipse. So just on its own, this is just going to change the, I'm changing the scale. Just going to change the rotation here. There we go. Oh, I see. That's much more like it.
Very cool.
Yes.
Well, I hope we get there. I'm not sure when the game show is. It's going to be within the next, like either June, July, isn't it? So hopefully.
Yeah, something like that. I'm making another change here because that green, in terms of the proximity to the bright green, it's too much. It's overpowering. We need to. You see, unlike actually doing this on a proper job, we're having to sort of just art direct on the go. And you get to the end of the stream in like 8 minutes and you go like, ooh, no one's going to hire me again. But, you know, I've been hired too plenty. That's going, ooh, actually, look at that. I do kind of like that because it's become an arrow, yeah.
Yeah, that works.
Yeah, I think it does. I think if I rob this of its stroke, I'd have to go back onto that layer. I might rob that at the stroke just for the minute. So I'm just going to bring the stroke to the front. I did that by tapping X, hit the slash key just to take it away. Because if it looks like an arrow, why don't we actually make it into an arrow?
Can you hear my daughter singing in the background?
Is she?
Can you hear that?
Oh, cute.
Very loud, singing her little heart out.
Oh.
Oh, brilliant.
I'm going to use transform again on this as an effect. I know this seems like a bit of a, some people, this is a bit of like a faff. Yeah. They go like, oh, but you're doing that and that. Why don't you just draw a thing? Draw a rectangle and do that, you know, which you can do perfectly, that you can absolutely do that, right? The reason I don't is because this is the foundation of interactive graphics, right? So things that will actually change based on their content. And that's an important part of today's sort of arsenal of things. I'm going to group those two things together. Okay, so I've made a group out of the date and that triangle because I'm liking the fact that it's an arrow all of a sudden. I'm going to add a new fill to that, which is added on top by default, but I'm going to take it down there. I'm going to distort and transform. No, I'm not. I'm going to go path, offset path. Yes. Let's just make that round, just to round those edges off. There we go.
Nice. Yeah,
that's working out. If
Fair.
Annika Argall was here right now, she'd be going, save! I'm
Yes.
doing it now. I'm doing it now. I'm doing it
Good.
now.
Very good.
Look at the state of my desktop. You can tell I've had a busy week. It's just littered. Oh, dear.
No.
80s
Oh,
game
cool.
show. And then we can just drop in the actual date for that when we're ready.
Yes.
I don't know if we need any other. I think we could do with another little circle.
What are we missing, everyone? Like, pop anything in the chat if you think that we could add any. They have little squiggly lines, like spirals, and like you know how when you're drawing a cartoon that's moving, and you kind of have little squiggly lines, kind of following it.
Yeah.
It looks like they had a bit of that in the 80s. Do you think we should add any more?
I could do that.
Jackie says photos in circles. Tim says a lens flare.
No.
Oh, come on.
Let's be clear. No.
Outer glow. Sandrine's got a point. Outer glow.
Drop shadows were big.
Drop
shadows were big. So we could add
outer glow.
Okay. So we could do a hard outer glow, but that effectively gives us another stroke. Or we could add a drop shadow. Drop shadow, I think, would work pretty well. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to go to stylize and drop shadow. Yeah. Now, at the moment, you can see it's just giving me a soft edge, but let's pretend we hadn't got to soft edge territory just yet. I'm going to change the blur amount here to 0. Then I can just go ahead and push this however I want on the X and Y axis.
Very cool.
And I'll change the blending mode there to normal. And also the color. Let's make that deep, deep black. Yeah, like so. That should be okay. Oh, and the opacity, that was the other thing. Let's change that to 100%. Nice.
Jackie says torn paper, or is that more 90s?
No, torn paper. So that was the thing, like Wolfgang Weingart, who did a whole torn paper thing. That started there. Chris Ashworth, there's a guy on Instagram who still does a lot of work like that. Lots of letter rub down lettering used in those things, really good. I like that drop shadow, so I'm going to add that here. Just as well. I think that works pretty well there. That's added a dimension to it that maybe just needs a little bit of tweaking in the X offset. So I'm just going to change that, just bring that down. There we go. So we can see that it clearly is a drop shadow. That works pretty well. If we put one here, that's perhaps overkill. We ought to have Adobe Live up in the corner there as well.
Oh, yeah.
We could do that. What are we at? We've got 2 minutes, haven't we?
Yes, we do. Daryl says it's a Smash Hits cover. Daryl, it's exactly like Smash Hits. Yeah.
Yes.
Very Smash Hits. Very top of the pops.
Da, 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 da.
It's like your theme.
Sorry. What did I do now?
That was one of the things, right? What you just did then, singing like a little da, 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 da. That was one of the things that I found the funniest going back into the office after being at home, is that I sing out loud, or I talk out loud to myself when I'm in the office doing it. And you're like, da, 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 da. That's it.
I do it all the time. I scare myself, honestly. I do it all the time. So we're just in here, just from a point of view of some semblance of graphic design, we have got a hierarchy thing going on here, and you can see, right, there's a relationship between these two things, that it's Adobe Live and the date. There's a relationship between those. The title, yeah, and the time of the event are linked as well. But I think that's, the blue there is not as authentic as I would like it to be. So I think I would remix the blue
to brighter.
A little bit. Yeah, of course. There we go. So something in that sort of ballpark.
Very good.
I think is good. And as we've done that, we might need to just change that stroke color just there, because that should have something in from another part of the artwork. Maybe not that one, but but the one I had before was, I think, slightly better.
Yeah.
And then this, because that's it, in danger of becoming lost, we could reverse that out just there, like so. Something like that. I think that's okay.
Loving your work, Tony. Very good. Oh, no, really good. Well, everybody, we're at time. It's 1 p.m. in the UK. So if you've joined us today for our 80s live stream in creating our game show or our 80s game show poster, Tony and I will be battling it out to see who can be the next winner of the next quiz and drawing kind of activities that we end up doing. It's so funny. So you definitely have to come and join us for that. But thank you all for joining. Thank you for the comments. Thank you for the font recommendations, and have a great rest of your day. And are we gonna? Oh, you've finished with you've got your mic back on and everything, Tony.
Yeah.
I'm loving it. Brilliant. And then the conversation will continue on Discord. So head over there, and you can watch us live on YouTube later. Have a great day, everyone.
Or on VHS.
Bye, everyone.